I'm going to talk about Feuerbach's critique of Christianity as he presented it in his book, The Essence of Christianity, which was translated by Marian Evans, who also translated Strauss's Life of Jesus at the end of in the last decade of 19th century, I think. And I'm not going to cover the whole book. Feuerbach is much more complex a philosopher than we actually give him credit for, but I'm just going to focus on this corresponding theme to what we talked about with regard to Strauss's critique of Christianity. So, in Feuerbach's critique of Christianity, there are two important concepts which we should remember and try to understand first. One is alienation. And as you know, this is a Hegelian concept. It's not very clear. I mean, it's not. People disagree on what it means, but I'll try to specify what I think Feuerbach mean by alienation in this context. It might be similar to Hegel's use in certain aspects, but might not be in certain other aspects. I'm not concerned about that at the moment. So alienation basically is a separation or discordance between two things. One is the essential nature and the other is actual nature. So since we are talking about human beings, so why human beings are alienated? They are alienated in the sense that they have there is a separation between their actual nature and their essential nature. So their actual nature is actually different from or hiding their essential nature. They don't have recognition of their essential nature. Whatever you want to, however you want to construe it, but there's a discord between man's essential nature and its actual nature. And we'll talk about it in a minute, what is essential nature. So, and the other concept is the concept of projection. Now, nowadays, the concept in psychology is used mostly in negatively, and also, for example, in Nietzsche and others. But Feuerbach's conception of projection is more positive. So, when I project something onto someone else or certain concepts, what I'm doing is, as a human being, one of the things I'm doing is I'm idealizing my situation. So I'm projecting an idealized version of my life. So, for example, Nietzsche would say that, religion is the creation of wretched people, poor people, so their lives are miserable, so they are projecting, idealize what they want, what they hope for, as heaven or paradise, and they're hoping that they will get that in the life after. So that's one for idealizing my situation and projecting it onto someone or in the future or whatever. But also projecting my potential. I may be limited now or lacking in certain aspects now, but I realize that my potential is much higher. I can achieve something beyond my present situation as an individual or as humanity. So I project this potential in the future or onto someone else. And when we combine these two concepts, we get what Feuerbach is telling us about the essence of religion in terms of his critique of Christianity, or the essence of Christianity. If we start with the Strauss, the way we last time looked at Strauss, and what Strauss said was that Christianity is a myth, or Jesus is a myth, or the way the life of Jesus is portrayed in Christianity, that's a myth. It's not something which historically happened or existed. So it's a myth. But myth doesn't mean that it's false. It means that it is projection onto Jesus, something which contain a kernel of truth, so to speak. So for example, saying that Jesus is a God. Jesus wasn't a God, but the truth is humanity as a species is God. Or in Jesus we see miracles, and a human being, but helped by Holy Spirit, is able to perform miracles. Strauss said that this is a myth. It contains a truth, which is that human beings as species, if they combine their reason with nature, they can create miracles of science or technology or whatever. So basically what he read in the myth of Jesus was a religion of progress, in which human being realizes its potential through mixing its reason with the material world. So that was his critique of Christianity, but he thought that Christianity contained within its mythical religion something which was true, and that was the religion of humanity, religion of progress, etc. And as I said last time, Strauss was a disciple of Hegel, and he is one of the young Hegelians. But Feuerbach is another one, and Feuerbach's message is similar to Strauss's, but his actual argument is quite different. He didn't think that, I mean, if we want, we can use the same language as that of Strauss. But what he said, combining these two concept of alienation and projection, was that human beings are alienated or estranged from their essence, because they have actually projected their essence, their real nature, onto God, or God, yeah. Since we are talking about Christianity, so there's one God in that sense. So human beings are alienated from their real essence because they have projected their real essence into God. So God of Christianity, actually, God of Christianity is actually human creation. So humans created God. And how did they create God? They created God through projecting their potential and idealized hopes onto these created being, or these created beings which we call God. So God are God's creation. So humans are not God's creation. God is actually human creation, and human has created them through projecting their potential onto these concepts, their hopes and their idealization of their own situation onto those. They have but having projected that for whatever reason, through false consciousness or through social conditions, they have alienated from those very concepts they created, because having created or projected those gods, they thought that the gods have actually created them. So man is, and now man is actually bowing to the concepts or the beings he has himself created, and this is certainly a form of false consciousness. And so having created, so because of the false consciousness, because of ideology or whatever, we would have to look in detail in, Feuerbachian version is different, and then Marx is different. But having created those gods, human beings forgot that they had created them, and they started believing that they are actually actual beings who have created them. So they started worshipping them, or tying their hopes to them, and projecting all those idealization onto the next world. So the purpose of criticism, according to Feuerbach, is to lay bare this and tell humans that what God is their own creation. So man is God. Man created God, and once human beings realize this, then they can actually work to create those conditions, in which human beings actually become masters of their own destiny, actually become gods, which is their potential. Through I guess science and knowledge and technology or whatever. So that's his criticism, the essences, and his argument. Many of his arguments. One of his arguments for to prove his point is the anthropomorphic nature of Christian religion. So Christian religion is actually ideally suited for this sort of criticism, because it says that God loved humanity so much that he renounced his divinity and became human. So Feuerbach sort of takes that as proof that man was already in God. So the fact that there is an incarnated God, and God has come into this world in the form of Jesus, who is fully God and fully man, this proved to Feuerbach that man was already in God. And he was already God himself. Before God became man. So anthropomorphic attributes of God in general proves for Feuerbach, and especially Christianity and Christian religion, where God actually comes in this world in the form of man. It is a proof that God is actually the creation of man, and once we realize that we are actually estranged from our own essential nature, and once we accept that nature as divines, then we can change our situation, then we can change our destiny as a human being. That's one of his arguments. And the second argument is Feuerbach says that man creates religion. Man has religion, yeah. And animals, for example, animals don't have religion. So what is in man that makes him capable of having a religion? And according to Feuerbach, in order to know what equips man to create a religion or adopt a religion, while animals can't do it, we should look for a thing which distinguishes humans from animals. And what distinguishes, an answer is that what distinguishes man from animals is a distinctive a unique consciousness which human beings have. Which makes them capable of knowing or cognizing universal. So what distinguishes humans from animals is this special type of consciousness, which we call rationality, that allows them to have knowledge of universal, perceive universals and use them. So animals have some sort of consciousness, but they are conscious of only their immediate particular existence, but they have no knowledge of, for example, animal species, for example, animals. So they don't have any consciousness of being member of this species called animals, because they are only aware of particulars, and species is a universal. But human beings have this dual characteristics, because I guess they are both animals and humans, or distinctive from animals. They are rational animals, as Aristotle said a long time ago. So human beings are aware of particulars. I am aware of my particular existence, my individual existence. And but due to this distinctive consciousness, I am also aware of my membership of this universal community known as humans, or in other words, human species. So humans, according to Feuerbach, and as you know, Marx would later take this concept, and basically, they take this concept from Hegel. So as a human being, I'm an individual being, but I'm also a species being that is a member of a distinctively human community. And according to Feuerbach, this is my essential nature, because this is what distinguishes me from all other beings. And because of that distinctive consciousness, I'm also conscious of being a member of a community. So what Feuerbach says that although individual humans are limited and they perish or whatever, human beings as a species are. As a species being, I'm not limited. I'm divine, and I'm capable of living forever in this species, and as a human species being in this community in one form or another. And Feuerbach says that this is my essential nature. So because of that, I'm able to transcend my limits. So at some point, for some reason, I became alienated from my essential nature, the nature as a species being. And I projected that to some imagined being called God. So that was alienation from my own nature. That was a false consciousness. And as I said, the project of criticism is to lay this bare, and so that human beings, as individual, we can, and as a community, we can work toward realizing our nature as a species being and create a kingdom of a, or that's not Feuerbach or Kant, but different utopias or whatever, or realizing so Feuerbach was part of that. The same utopia in Marx you will see in communism, where you realize you're a species being. In liberal version, it's just kingdom of end. So that was basically Feuerbach's idea. That Strauss said that religion is myth; it contains truth. In a sense, we can say Feuerbach said similar thing, but he said in a more specific way. He said that gods are our own creation, our own projection, and they are projection because we are estranged from our true nature. The project of criticism is to realize that gods are human creation, and then once we have done that, we can get rid of that and try to realize our nature in this world in form of using reason to dominate nature, I guess, or and form community in where human beings are capable of realizing their potential as individual beings and as species beings. Okay, so that's in a nutshell how I understand Feuerbach's ideas about Christianity, in the essence of Christianity. Now, Feuerbach wrote other works as well, and a lot of them haven't been translated into English, and a lot of our knowledge of Feuerbach is limited to his relation to Marx and to this book. But Feuerbach, and now in English we are getting some more research. So that's very good. Thank you.